Hey, Glenn here. As I tend to do rather a lot, I have started on a new guitar, which has a nice new technique that I've never used before, but I'll explain more about that later. There is a story to this, well, not much of a story, I should say. There is a history, a prehistory to this guitar that goes back a year. Right now it is 2024, the 27th of January, and the first video in the previous workshop when I was beginning this guitar was shot back in January last year, 2023. So let's have a flashback and see what happened. So here are some pieces of rimu. You wouldn't know what it was looking at it. It's got bits of cement, I think. Yeah, bits of concrete and some plaster, maybe some paint on there. They're kind of a mess. But there is definitely gold inside. With the three of them laying side by side, not yet dressed properly, they're just over 300 mils. So they won't be quite wide enough for a guitar body, but I've got this piece of rimu sitting around. I can see there are bits that are going to have to be removed, but combined, that's definitely a body. So let's machine these pieces up and see what we've got. Not that you can tell, but trust me, these are the same pieces of wood. That's what was beneath the surface of that cruddy looking rough sawn timber with splattered concrete and plaster and bits of paint everywhere. That is incredible wood. That's the piece that was already planed, and you can't really tell which was which. It all looks amazing. So there we are, that's going to be a glorious guitar body. So here is that body made from pieces of rimu with its beauty exposed. There are lots of amazing boutique guitar builders out there in the world who I follow, and if I took the time to give them the credit that they deserve, I would do nothing but talk about other builders. But there's one in particular who I really like and who has inspired me in what I intend on doing here. I don't know the guy's first name. His last name might be Barlow because the brand is Barlow Guitars, and I follow them on Instagram. I gather it's a one-man outfit. I think so. The overall type of guitar is quite different from this. This is, well, it's sort of an offset classic Fender style body shape, and I've never seen him do anything like that. But there is one technique that I'm going to use that I got from him. I'm sure lots of people do it, but I particularly noticed it in his work, and I think it's beautiful. And it's where, from a distance, the guitar looks like it might have binding around the edge, but it doesn't. That effect is created by having multiple layers of wood in contrasting colors, and then there is a bevel cut around the edge of the body so that you get that contrast color. So if it's a dark body, you get a pale line around the outside of the body, and it has the same visual impact as binding, but it's all natural and it's just kind of nice. So I'm going to do that. It's a fairly dark rimu body. I plan to put a thin layer of pale poplar on top of this, and then I'm not quite sure what I'm going to put on top of that. I'll find something. Let's go. And I think those are three very good contrasting woods there. The top one is rather dusty, so you can't properly see how dark it is, but we've got a emu body. There'll be a thin layer of poplar and then a thin layer on top of sapele. The main shortcoming of this bandsaw when it comes to resawing tall boards like this is that the fence is quite short. I suppose I could have gone to the trouble of obtaining or building a taller fence, but I haven't. So the thinnest piece that this planer can create is 5 millimeters thick, and as you can see I haven't quite removed all the bandsaw lines at that thickness. I think this wants to be about 4 millimeters thick, which I can't do in the planer, at least not without some modification or a hack, so I'm going to try that now. I haven't yet unpacked all my rolls of tape and I'm not sure where they are, but I managed to dig out this less than ideal but still functional roll of double-sided tape. Now all I have to do is put the second piece on and plane to the same overall thickness that this is. And this now means that my top piece is, it's about, what have we got there? I'd put that at 4 millimeters thick, which is about what I thought it would be. Great, okay, I'll just do that with the second piece. Right, so that's how the layers will look, although that edge of the poplar hasn't been planed, so it'll look whiter than that. Like so. Now, how thick is this guitar going to be in its current state? Doing everything with one hand. Alright, so I've got that at about 48 millimeters, which is thicker than most of the guitars I make slightly. I believe a 60s Fender Stratocaster is 44 and a half. But if I do decide that this needs to be thinner, I can just put the body through the drum sander a few times. While the sapele top is waiting in the wings, the poplar is being glued on. Okay, both layers are now glued onto the body and routed to shape. And you know, I really should have taken the time to make sure that I knew the guy's name before I praised him earlier. But Ricky Barlow is the fellow from Barlow Guitars, and he is the one who gave me the idea to do this bevel around the edge that reveals the contrasting color, which I'm about to do. And let's see how it goes on my first attempt. Alright, how's that looking? Well, okay, as I go across the end grain, it's burning a fair bit. Not so bad over here, although there is a little bit. I've had the same bevel bit for a few years now. Maybe I should get a new one. I can clean up that burn mark with sanding. Looks like it's going to turn out fine, very nice in fact, once I've done that. Let me just have a quick look to see if I have a different bevel bit. I don't think I do. I think I'll need to press on with that one and then sand it clean afterwards. One moment. I actually do. I do, and it's a radiant bit. That's right, I got 2 radiant bits a while ago, and one of them with this one. Well, I'll definitely have to use this one then, because radiant, I'm sure, will do a fantastic job of this, and I won't have any of this unsightly burn. Yeah, they do come wrapped in this rubber stuff, which I have to peel off. There it is. 3 cutting flutes. That will do a nice clean job. I need to get my spanner to change the bit. Okay, back in business. Right, I'm going to cut the bevel slightly deeper just to make it easier to ensure that I'm getting all that burn off. There's a great ad for radiant bits. That's an amazing cut. But I cut it just a little bit too deep. But I'm committed to it now, so I'll make it work. sander won't fix, I know what I'll do here. Okay, now that's pretty much what I was hoping for. There is still a little bit of burn as you cross the grain. That can be difficult to avoid, but that's easy to clean up with some sandpaper. But look at that. So you can see what I mean. I mean, it doesn't quite look like binding, but it's a line around the guitar. I like that. Righto, Ricky Barlow, you've been an inspiration, not just to me. I'm sure other people have done this because of you as well. And your guitars are much nicer. But thank you. Okay, that's the basic body formed. I'll stop the video at this point. I've called this guitar Old Brass, and at this point you have no idea why, but you'll find out in the next video, and I have several projects on the go. At one point I said I promised that I will not start a new guitar until the one that I'm currently working on is finished, and that was a total lie. I did intend that to be the case, but I've realized that it's just not going to be the case, and I would be forcing myself to do that, and it wouldn't be fun. So this might not be the next guitar you see me work on, or it might, but until then, please do come back for the next inciting? It may be inciting. The next exciting episode of Monster Guitars. I know I said I would end the video, but just a short addendum to that. So as I pointed out earlier, I had the beveling bit lowered too much, and so it didn't cut all the way to the top, and so I managed to remove that top piece by sanding it. I mean, the result isn't bad, but I'm not 100% satisfied with that. And that's because, well, I'm human, not a machine, and so there is a very slight variability in the height of that sanding that I did, which changes the thickness of that top layer at various points, and so it's not as perfect as it could be. So what I've done is I've gone out and gotten a larger beveling bit and put it in my router table, and I'm just going to bevel that ever so slightly deeper. Now I know it's not a radian bit, but it is a brand new bit, and I'm only going to be shaving off a tiny bit extra off that existing bevel, so I'm not expecting it to burn or to be too difficult. Well, let's find out. Okay, and I'm fairly happy with that. That's just going to be a job for some tidying up with sanding now. I don't know if Radian make a larger beveling bit than the one I have. I'll have another look, but if they do, it's probably worth having. I mean, all the Radian bits are worth having, but they are kind of expensive. Okay, now it's the end of the video.